Hey everybody, Sam here, also known as Mr. Stainless001, and we are back speculating, discussing, chatting about Shadow of War. Last time I did one of these videos, we were talking about the possibility of undead warriors being in Shadow of War, and you guys seemed to really enjoy that. We had a great discussion down in the comments, and today I want to kind of come back and chat about something different, and that is, how will Talion's story end? One thing I've been thinking about over the past week is kind of coming to the realization of who Talion is and what he's doing. I think it's very easy for us to get swept up in the story and the emotion of Shadow of Mordor and what will be Shadow of War. You know, we're playing as this character, as Talion, who is avenging his family's death, who is staring evil in the face and seeking retribution for what Sauron and what the forces of Sauron have done to him. I think it's very easy to kind of go along with that, to immediately side with Talion and be like, you know what, yeah, your wife and son were murdered by the forces of Sauron, by the Dark Hand, and it's easy to kind of be like, you know what, yeah, Talion, we'll do whatever we can to avenge your family. And we kind of give him a free pass. But one thing I've been realizing over this past week is that Talion is raising an army of Uruks, and a very strong army, and he's now forging a ring of power for himself. And at what point does this all end? One thing that I've been really thinking about this week is, who does Talion answer to? And the conclusion I came to is that he doesn't really answer to anyone, and that's quite scary when you think about it. Talion is basically this lone wolf who is basically going around Mordor, who is now traversing Middle-earth with an army of Uruks, with a ring of power. He doesn't answer to anyone, and he's not accountable to anyone either. And for me, one thing that I'm really curious about is how his story will come to a conclusion. What I wonder is whether the forces of good, the forces of Gondor, of Rohan, of whoever, are at some point most likely going to have to raise their own army, or going to have to raise up and say, you know what, Talion, what you're doing isn't okay here. Like, you don't answer to anyone. We need to kill you, basically, because we're scared of you. And that's what I've been really considering this week, is at what point are we going to see Talion's story come to an end? At what point will he kind of think, you know what, yeah, I've raised enough armies, yeah, I've destroyed enough things in Mordor, yeah, I'm just going to call it quits, going to throw in the towel, goodbye Ring of Power, goodbye Wraith abilities, yeah, I'm just going to happily go into the night, really, and be at rest? Or will Talion himself be overcome by his own rage, really? And I think that's something that we are kind of seeing through the narrative of Shadow of Mordor, and what we may see in Shadow of War is that Talion at the minute is blinded to almost anything because of his own personal ambition and Celebrimbor's personal ambition to destroy Sauron and destroy everything that Sauron's built. And I think that's incredibly destructive. I think at some point Talion and Celebrimbor are basically enacting their own will at the expense of everyone else. And arguably, yes, they're probably going to be helping the people of Minas Ithil. However, if it came down to the line and Talion and Celebrimbor were faced with the decision of saving humans or destroying Sauron, I think they would go to destroy Sauron. And that kind of concentration of will, that blindsidedness, combined with the fact that they now have a ring of power, I think is a very scary thing. So for me, what I'm trying to figure out at the minute is, at what point will the forces of good, will the forces of man stand back and say, no, Talion, we've had enough, it's time for you to stop? And at that point, will Talion actually stop? Will he go along with the wishes of the people, or will he say, you know what, no, I'm not listening to you, I'm going to keep doing what I want to do because I want to take down Sauron? And when faced with that conclusion, will the forces of good actually have to turn around and say, okay, it's time for us to put Talion down. That's what I've been thinking about this week. My main thoughts have kind of been centering around at what point will Talion's story come to an end, and how will it finish? Will he kind of achieve what he wants to achieve and then go softly into the night, or will the forces of good turn around and actually realize what he is? And that is a very scary force who has a ring of power and a large number of Uruks behind him. And at that point, will Talion then be fighting a war on two fronts, fighting against the forces of Sauron and fighting against the forces of man as well? Folks, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. It's been something that I've kind of been mulling around in my head this week. So let me know down in the comments, how do you think Talion's story will come to a conclusion? In the meantime, I hope you're getting pretty pumped for the release of Shadow of War. I know they're going to be heading over to E3 in a couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll see some new gameplay there as well, which is going to be pretty cool. But in the meantime, folks, if this is the first time you've came across my channel, you're very welcome. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. You'll be kept up to date of when new videos go live. But in the meantime, hope you're having a great week, and I'll speak to you soon.